Brought to you by Penguin. Open Socrates. Written and read by Agnes Callard.
Introduction. The man whose name is an example. There's a question you're avoiding. Even now, as you read this sentence, you're avoiding it. You tell yourself you don't have time at the moment. You're focused on making it through the next 15 minutes. There's a lot to get done in a day. There are the hours you spend at your job, the chores to take care of at home. There are movies to be seen, books to be read, music to be listened to, friendships to catch up on, vacations to be taken. Your life is full. It has no space for the question, why am I doing any of this? If that question does arise, you're ready to reply that you have to do most of the things you're already doing. A job is a source of things one has to do, in that you depend on the money it provides, and many people, clients, patients, students, co-workers, readers, bosses, customers, mentees, depend on your work. If a job involves research, there might be a problem that has to get solved. In school, students are told what they have to do: attend class, complete assignments, study for exams. You also have obligations to your family members and friends to live up to your mostly tacit agreements with them. And then there are other extraneous obligations: political activism, community involvement, religious commitments that a person might feel called upon to fulfill. All of these are necessities, and they bypass the why question. That doesn't cover everything you do in a day. No one would claim they have to pursue the simple pleasures of entertainment or companionship. But in those cases, the question is not so much why, but why not? Between the things you need to do and the things you like to do, your days are packed with activity. If you keep tacking one 15-minute period onto another, eventually it adds up to a life. True, you might sometimes have to pause to ask, should I take a vacation, move, have another child? Or you might find yourself faced with a moral dilemma or a romantic crisis. But in those cases, you frame what should I do as a question about which option fits best with what you had antecedently determined that you have to do and like to do. You're careful to keep your practical questions from exploding beyond narrow, deliberative limits within which you confine them in advance. It's fine to be open-minded and curious about all sorts of questions that don't directly impinge on how you live your life. How do woodpeckers avoid getting concussions? But you're vigilant in policing the boundaries of practical inquiry. You make sure your thinking about how your life should go doesn't wander too far from how it is already going. You appear to be afraid of something. Tolstoy. At around age 50, the great Russian novelist Leo Tolstoy, 1828 to 1910, experienced his life unraveling. He reports, "My life came to a halt. I could breathe, eat, drink, sleep, and I couldn't not breathe, eat, drink, sleep, but I had no life because I had no desires in the fulfillment of which I might find any meaning. If I desired something, then I knew in advance that whether I fulfilled my desire or not, nothing would come of it. If an enchantress had come and offered to fulfill my desires for me, I wouldn't have known what to say." A person moves through life by envisioning positive outcomes, either for herself or those around her, and working to bring them about. If there's nothing that could happen that would satisfy you, motivational collapse ensues. The fact that Tolstoy could face such a collapse is an alarming indictment of the very concept of success, since very few human lives have been characterized by more substantial success than Tolstoy's. Tolstoy's life came to a halt after he had written and been recognized for War and Peace and Anna Karenina, and more generally when his life was going just about as well as it could possibly go for a person. And this happened to me at a time when on every side I had what is considered to be perfect happiness. It was when I wasn't yet 50. I had a kind, loving, and loved wife, good children, and a large estate which, without labor on my part, grew and increased. I was respected by family and friends, was praised more than ever by the world at large, and without a special self-deception could consider myself to have fame. Moreover, I not only wasn't sickly physically or spiritually, but on the contrary had both spiritual and physical strength such as I seldom encountered in my contemporaries. Physically, I could mow the hay and keep up with the peasants. Mentally, I could work for 8 or 10 hours at a stretch without feeling any consequences from the effort. Tolstoy's crisis was caused by his inability to answer certain questions. He has everything he ever wanted in life: literary fame, a loving family, wealth, physical and mental stamina, but he finds himself plagued by the thought.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?